Welcome to episode number 13 of Take the Trip with Us, where you get to hear from travel professionals who've experienced destinations firsthand. And today I'm super excited. We have Noelle Schreiber with us, and she's going to share about her recent trip to Orlando. Actually, Disney World is where you went. And I'm a little more interested in this time because I know you have some special needs, kind of a high risk situation. So I definitely want to touch on that today so that we can talk about what you did different. But I know you've been going to Disney World for about, over 12 years regularly. And I mean like multiple times a year, right? You are
Absolutely.
there.
We go an embarrassing amount of times. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. And I know you do cruising and you go to Universal too, but gosh, I know you've been planning this for a long time. Your girls they're teenagers now, but they were 1 and 3 when you first started planning your trip. So you've seen them grow through all of this, and that's really cool.
Yes, it's been really fun to see how even their rides that were their favorites when they were 1 and 3 are still the first things that they want to go back to as they've gotten older. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. Now, I also know your niche is food. So we definitely have to talk about food today because I want to hear all about the food. You might make me hungry, but oh well.
I will for sure make you hungry. Disney makes us all hungry.
That's true.
When I think about theme park, I say.
The favorite foods there. So really starting out, I know personally that going into this trip, I know you were a little bit hesitant, a little bit nervous, maybe because of the high risk situation. Were there things that you did differently preparing for the trip and actually being there at Disney World?
Absolutely. Yes, as a matter of fact, there was a lot of animosity focused my way and my household because we normally go very often, and a lot of passive aggressive, like, why are you keeping me from my happy place happening in my house? So when we first told our girls that we were going to go back, my oldest cried like it was the first time. She was just so excited to be back. And so we did do things much more differently than we would have on a normal trip. For instance, we normally fly. This time we drove. We did a much longer trip. I do personally like a long trip. You definitely get more bang for your buck at Disney, as you know, because the price per day goes down so significantly when you get over that like 5-day hump. So for instance, while we were down there, we decided to add on a day, a park day while we were there. And that was just an additional $80, like total, not per person, total. So, 20 per person, which, I mean, you can't beat that.
That's awesome.
For 4 adults, that's adult price. So, and the reason that we added on a day was because initially my plan was to be very strategic in not being there on the weekends. We were there for just under 2 weeks. And so my plan was, since I'm high risk, to avoid as many people as possible.
Sure.
So I didn't want to be there when people with annual passes were there. So we were trying to avoid Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And also with Disney Springs, I didn't want to be there in the evenings, just during work hours, so that, it was minimizing the amount of people that were there for me. So we ended up adding on Animal Kingdom, because I was kind of like, most people don't do Animal Kingdom on a first or last day. That's normally a middle of the week kind of park day. And so we, at the very last minute, decided to add that on on a Sunday, which was perfect. It was very low crowd, very, very nice. So I was really glad that we decided to do that. But in addition to avoiding those weekend times, we also planned our swimming around that as well. So I made sure that we were at Yacht Club, where we had, the beautiful Stormalong Bay to stay in.
I love it there.
Oh, it's just my favorite pool on property. And so we got in a lot of pool time during the weekend because that's when most people are at the park. So those were the times when we would try to get in our pool time, and the pool was basically ours. It was wonderful.
That's awesome. And it's
Um,
such a large pool too, so you can spread out quite a bit, which is really nice.
it
So did
was
you stay
fabulous.
then at Yacht Club the whole time you were there?
We didn't. We bounced around. We stayed at Yacht Club for part of the time and at Art of Animation in a Nemo suite for the other part of the time.
Okay.
Um, and so we were kind of, doing multiple different places. And it's funny because my girls have stayed, they've stayed at a lot of places, Deb, on property. And Ava was saying to me at the end of our time at Nemo, she says, Mom, I don't think that my kids are going to have a lot of variety in where they stay when we go to Disney. And I said, why is that? And she said, because we're only staying in the Nemo suites because they're my favorite. And then Polly argues and she says, no, 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 like we are only staying at Yacht Club because it is my favorite pool and you can walk right into Epcot and that's my favorite. And so we got each of their favorites in on this trip.
Well, that's great. Well, I know the benefit of being there at Art of Animation, and you have the Skyliner there. And it's new in the past couple years. So what about riding that right now with, the changes and with COVID right now? Is it any different? Did you feel okay riding it?
That was such a bonus in this trip. One of the reasons that we drove was again because we wanted to have our car available to us. Because for me right now being high risk, I didn't want to do the buses. But I was very comfortable with the Skyliner because you have one family per sky gondola. So we all got to use that quite a bit. We did also do the monorail where you've got two families per car, but you've got the plexiglass between the
Okay.
dividers. So that made things very comfortable. You were able to keep, a significant distance from people. We also, while we were down there, did the 5-layer carbon filters in our masks so that we weren't just wearing regular masks. We had the carbon filters. And that also made me feel more comfortable. But as far as the Skyliner, I think that is probably the prime mode of transportation, especially if you're trying to avoid being, close with other people. Super convenient, especially in the evenings. Evenings are my favorite time to ride the Skyliner. And we even took one day where we weren't in the parks and we just rode the Skyliner for fun.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for those that are afraid of heights and are like, I don't know. My youngest is also a little afraid of heights sometimes. And she was very nervous about getting on the Skyliner for the first time. It wasn't my first time, but it was the first time that she had gotten on it. And she got in and she was like, oh my gosh, I need to be facing forward. I can't be facing backwards on this. I said, okay. So at the next station, we were getting out and she was like, okay, I need to be facing forward. And then before she could even finish the sentence, she said, no, I'm being a baby. That was just fine. I'm riding backwards all the time on the Skyliner from now on. Yes. So it was a big growing experience for her. But again, she is somebody who normally would be bothered by that. And she, had an initial like, oh my goodness. And then she was like, this is great. I don't know what I was thinking. I love it. And she wanted to ride it multiple times.
That's awesome. And with having that fresh air that comes through it, I think that really helps too, just to give you that peace of mind. Now, I'm just curious, while you're riding it, I guess you're supposed to have your face covering on, right?
You
But do
are.
they allow you to take it off?
It wasn't ever specified to us if you could or could not. We did keep ours on. But again, with that air passing through, since they're, fully ventilated, you're at least getting, that full aired out gondola each time. So I felt comfortable getting on it,
And you're the only
that.
people in it at that time. So that's probably also really good. I mean, that's the only way you could take it off, take your face covering off, I suppose. What about just being in the park wearing the face covering? Like, was it, I mean, bothersome to you all, or you just got used to it? I guess kids are used to it at school all day, so you just kind of forget about it.
Well, and most kids are very used to it. My girls are not used to it because I'm high risk. They have been fully remote since March, and so they don't have to wear them during the days. They do, if they go out to the store or something, but even at that, they don't do that often. Um, so it was a little bit of a change for them, but nobody complained. It was very second nature. Um, it was funny. I would find that the girls would put their masks on like in the car, and I was like, you don't have to wear it in the car. You're just with us. And it was like, oh yeah, I just, that's what you do. And it is. It's one of those things you just get used to. I was a little nervous that having the carbon filters in our masks would make them less breathable and more stuffy. They actually weren't at all. I much preferred them. I think it actually kind of helped the mask kind of stay out away from your nose and your mouth a little more, so it wasn't right up on it, which honestly I think made it more breathable. But yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. As a matter of fact, it made me so much more comfortable because I am high risk, because you're right. I was very nervous, going into this. And I found that it made me so much more comfortable. I was very happy to see how good the mask usage is at Disney. You really don't see people wearing them improperly because Disney enforces it. Mm-hmm. And even little ones, the cast members were very sweet about it, but every once in a while you'd see a little one, like 3 or 4, have it slip, and you'd see a cast member go, honey, we, pull it up above your nose, and they just smile and, fix it. And it wasn't like a, do this kind of thing. But it was very few and far between where you would even see that, necessitated.
And then like social or physical distancing, you felt comfortable with that, getting around the park and staying in the lines and stuff. You felt like you were away from people enough.
I felt more comfortable there than at Target. I was pleasantly shocked at how well the social distancing was. Even in the lines where you've got the 6 feet markers, if you are in a queue where it kind of zigzagged, the row between 2 rows wasn't 6 feet apart each time. It was further because they didn't want you standing adjacent to somebody. So I actually felt that it was more, it was easier to socially distance, I think, in the lines sometimes. I've been giving my clients kind of fair warning, because I think when people see the lines, they kind of freak out. The lines look a little scary right now, but they're really not bad. And what I've been telling my clients is, they're trying their best to not utilize the indoor queuing. So all that line that would normally be inside is outside. So the lines look much longer, especially with the social distancing, but they move very fast. I just had a family come back yesterday and told me, oh, I'm so glad that, you gave us that warning, because we did. Initially, we were shocked. We thought, oh, these lines look crazy. She goes, but we cannot believe how many things we did. We rode everything we wanted to ride, and we had the same experience, and we were there at Christmas time.
Yeah. And I think too, sometimes I think we forget, because I was there back in October, that it's kind of nice not being all squished in a line and having a bunch of sweaty people standing next to you. So knowing that everybody keeps their distance, that was really good for us too. I just felt like I had a little more air and room to breathe too. And especially, like you said, being outside. Now I know you kept some of those, memories with the memory maker. So how, I know some people will say, well, all the pictures, I don't know if I want to have a face covering on with it or not, but I think some of that's cute. I know a lot of people have, cute face coverings now. It's fun seeing some of those pictures, and you can still see everybody smiling because their eyes. So how did
Yes.
that go with the memory maker? Because I know you can't take your mask off to get a picture.
Yes. And I was also that person. I was on the fence. I was actually the one saying, I don't know. I don't think I want to spend the money on it this time. And my husband was like, you know what? We should just do it. We should just do it because, it's still our memories. And I said, you're absolutely right. These are our memories. And I am so glad that we at the very last minute decided to add it on, because Ava, my youngest, rode rides she had never rode before. She has been, as many times as we go, she has been a ride scaredy cat for a long time. And we have a page in most of our Disney photo albums that's a "Where's Ava" page, and we take her ears on the ride and we hold them, and we have like, here's where Ava would be on all the ride photos. And so she rode Everest for the first time. She rode Space Mountain for the first time. She rode Rock and Roller Coaster for the first time. And she didn't just ride them for the first time, she rode them multiple times. And she loved them, and Rock and Roller Coaster is her new favorite. And she would, let me just give you some background. Up until even 2 years ago, I could barely get her on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That wasn't even happening. Wow. And she just loved everything. So to have those memories, I'm so glad that we did that. And it's funny how expressive you can still be with a mask on. We have some really good, funny pictures that I'm just so glad that we ended up doing it, because you can totally see everybody's expressions and smiles through their eyes in these pictures.
Oh yeah, that's great. Super. Okay, well, I want to hear about the food. So you got to tell me all about the food stuff, because when I get there, I've got picky eaters in my family. And so if I suggest trying one of those, new food, something that they put out for an event, everybody's like, oh, I just want my regular vanilla ice cream cone. So I want to hear about it.
I love the food. My whole family loves the food. We plan for the food, I think, more than anything else on our trips. Food is my niche. And I have literally eaten every single food item in Galaxy's Edge now. So if you ever need to know, like, that, I've done it, I've eaten it, I can tell you what's good and what's bad.
And they're all named very strange things. So you're not sure what you're getting, but it's familiar food once you eat it, maybe, but it's different.
Yes. And there are no table service in Galaxy's Edge, which a lot of people don't know. So it's very accessible. One of my biggest tips for people, especially in Hollywood studios, is if you are looking to eat at Docking Bay 7 in Galaxy's Edge, or if you're looking to eat at Woody's Lunchbox, you should really place that mobile order about 2 hours in advance, because those are booking up fast. Even though they're not a table service, you're not making a reservation. All you're doing is scheduling when you're going to pick up your meal. You place your order in advance, and it's super easy to do in line. That's when I do most of my ordering. We sit in line and talk about what we're getting ready to eat. We place that mobile order and we go get it later. And if you don't know where you're going to be in 2 hours, place it anyway, and you can adjust the time later on. It's easy to do. But the food, we ate so much while we were there. We were there for Festival of the Holidays, so we ate at every single one of the booths throughout World Showcase. We ate almost all the things. We ate almost all of the things until I could not put anything else in my mouth. And as I always say, calories don't count at Disney, Deb. They just don't. I've never once gained a pound at Disney. As a matter of fact, I even lost a couple pounds this time because, all the walking. So eat till your heart's content. But yes, we ate all the things throughout Festival Holidays, and festivals are my favorite. I I love going to Festival of the Arts, going to Flower and Garden, going to Food and Wine to try all the things. I love trying all the different things. And that's one thing that we started with our girls very early. We would dessert through the countries, try different desserts, and it expands their horizons. They have found, lots of new things that they would have never tried otherwise that way that they really like.
And each of the festivals has like a list of the different foods. And I know you've put together an awesome little guide to all the foods, depending on, the season or the event that someone's going to. So I always look for that because that's really awesome that you do that. And we usually, we try to post it on the website for you to share that with us. But do you kind of plan ahead and figure out what you want to eat then? Or you just go and just try? I mean, I'm sure you're making like actual restaurant reservations for a sit down, but I mean, as far as the snacks and all those neat foods that they come up with, are you planning it
I do.
out? Okay.
I do. And I do that for my clients too. I give all of my clients, like you said, the guide that I always put together for all the festivals. But I also give a guide to like, here's the best snacks. In normal times when there's, a dining plan, nothing breaks my heart more than to see somebody using a snack credit on some goldfish or a bottled water. I'm like, you're doing it all wrong. You should be getting a Ghirardelli sundae. Like, let me help you. My thing is get the most bang for your buck. But I do, I love to research the food. And so I do that not just for myself, but for my clients. But yes, we do eat at a lot of table service restaurants as well. I was very blessed to be able to be literally the second family to walk into Chef Mickey's on
That's
opening
right.
day.
Yes. So tell us about Chef Mickey, because now that they've brought back the characters there, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So what was that? What was it like that morning?
It was so much fun. We got seated right at the window with a view of the castle. It was a lovely morning. We were seated in an area where it was just us and one other table. Normally that area would hold 6, maybe 8 tables. So it's very distanced because they want to keep the characters distance from you and be able to walk between tables. So it's extra distance. We were very strategic in where we sat because we wanted to make sure to get pictures of the characters with our girls. So we made sure that they were sitting where the characters would come in right behind them so I could get a good picture. The characters are super fun. They still, have charades conversations with you. They pose for the pictures, they pose for selfies. They're not coming over and giving hugs, but they're still there and they're still just as fun. And the food, Deb, was really good.
What was the food like for breakfast there? Because I'm so used to the buffet at Chef Mickey's. So what was the choices? What was that like?
So everything is served family style, which I love because then I don't have to get up. And especially if you've got little ones, you know how it is going up to a buffet and you're trying to, fill their plate, fill your plate. And this is just all brought to you. It is so much easier. And you can ask for seconds and thirds as much as you want of whatever they bring. We had, your traditional Mickey waffles. We had really good brisket served. You had 2 kinds of sausage, bacon. You had a huge celebration Mickey pancake that was Polly's favorite. Ava adored the French toast, the banana bread French toast. That was really, really good. It was really good. I'm a savory girl. I liked the potato casserole. And everything comes out Mickey shaped, and it all tastes better when it's Mickey shaped, Deb.
Of course it does. Well, and it's funny because for years, a lot of those character meals are the buffets and people are having to get up and get down. And I'll be honest, I mean, we had 4 little kids and buffets were so hard for us because anytime a kid wanted food, I'm getting up to go get it. So having that family style for me is just way better. So maybe now they can make that change and be able to accommodate at these restaurants by doing that family style. And hey, I mean, in some ways, I think that's really the better way to go.
100% agree.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I will say you are making me hungry. I wanted to ask though, there are to-go meals or something. So like if you were at your resort or you wanted to pick up something, I have not done that before. What's that like with getting that to-go meal?
That's the best. Let me just tell you, because how many times have you tried to get somebody into Sanaa for the bread service and couldn't get quite the right time that you wanted, something along those lines? Um, all I had to do was go on to my app, click Sanaa to go, order my bread service, and we took it and then ate it outside. We tried to eat outside as much as we could or in our room when we were going to eat at our resort. So we utilized the to-go menus at the resorts quite a bit. Um, my new favorite hidden gem is Ale and Compass for breakfast. Let me just tell you, super, super reasonable. Things that cost like $6 to $8 an entree. And they had really, really fabulous blueberry bacon pancakes with thick cut chunks of bacon in it. You got your sweet and your savory. The chocolate mascarpone waffles were amazing. It was so good. I can't recommend it enough.
So then did you just decide like, okay, tonight we just want to order from this restaurant? I mean, did you either drive or I guess someone could Uber and go to a different resort and pick up the food? And like you said, just go eat outside somewhere or bring it back to your resort. So that's what you're saying you did, that you guys enjoyed.
Absolutely. So one day we drove over to Animal Kingdom Lodge and got Sanaa bread service, and we went and ate outside at Animal Kingdom. And then, like I said, for breakfast the one morning, that was at our resort. So we just ordered from our resort. Um, I do like to eat all over the place. So we had to go hit Olivia's and go get the conch fritters and the crab cakes. So, one night after the park, we went over and, did our to go order on the way. And by the time we got there, it was ready to pick up. And we went back to the room and got some mac and cheese from another to go place. And we would, just hop all over it. And it was all, we would
You're
come back.
totally teaching me a different way to do this, Noelle. Okay. I'm totally learning something really different. That's awesome. So
Yes.
that to me, that's a great tip. Any other just personal tips that you have that you want to share, that anything that stands out to you? I mean, you've given us a bunch so far. I just didn't know if there was anything else that stood out to
So
you.
one of the things that I noticed, I get asked a lot about the characters, and the characters are still there. They're still there, and they're all over. They're just in spaces that they weren't before. A lot of characters, I always say look up. There's a lot of characters up on the balconies, in places that they'll pose, for a shot behind you. One of my biggest tips, though, that I've been giving to clients lately is the character cavalcades, where to look for those, where to look for those coming out. One of the best places to stand in Magic Kingdom is between Splash Mountain and Pecos Bill. And you'll all of a sudden see cast members gathering and talking, and the groups get larger. And then all of a sudden, those gates open wide and there's a cavalcade and you're standing there and have the perfect shot for it. And because that's where it comes out, while everybody is watching that, you can go get on the ride because you saw it first. So I like that. Another place that is a good one to stand at is between Norway and China, and between Japan and the American Pavilion in Epcot. Those are good entrance exit locations for those cavalcades. And then obviously the Main Street one, between the barbershop and the fire station. Good locations to see those and get those characters in.
That's awesome. I think I found myself as an adult, this last time, that I kind of enjoyed those little cavalcades and the way that you could interact with the characters because I don't typically do that. But just having those short little, them coming out and spending a little time, or like you said, being in other spaces that they aren't normally. You don't have like huge, you're not having lines for characters. I mean, we could just walk up and character would be there and get a quick selfie with them, which I wasn't gonna do before. So that's been kind of cool for me. So I thank you so much for talking with us. I have one last question. Like, was there something about this trip that was just special to you, like a special memory or something that you want to share with us?
So I think the thing that gets me most um, is the tears, the happy tears. Um, I have always shared when Polly was little on her first trip. She was 3, and back then you could order like souvenir maps in advance, and they would come to your house, and we got it in the mail, and it said something cute like "Get lost in the magic." And I remember her as a little 3-year-old, being like, "Oh, look, that's so smart. Disney sent us a map so that when we get lost in the magic, we can find our way out." And I thought, "Oh, that's so cute." And I just, kind of put it out of my mind. And that first night when she saw fireworks for the first time, I just happened to catch the picture at just the right moment. And she went, "Mommy, this is it. This is the magic." And on this trip, I'm going to get all weepy now. On this trip, on our last night, because the fireworks aren't scheduled and it's not a full fireworks show, it's just a burst here and there. We were standing on Main Street and a little burst went off, and I looked at her and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, "This is it, Mom. This is the magic." And I was like, "Oh!" And that's my memory. It's the same for her as a 15-year-old as it was for her as a 3-year-old. It's still her happy place. People talk to me a lot about, "Oh, I want to go while my kids are young because, this is when they're going to enjoy it the most." And I tell people all the time, like, the magic, it kind of gets in you. And it is her happy place. And she was just as happy to be there at 15 as she was at 3.
That's a really good story. And I hear that a lot too, where someone says, what's that perfect age? And yet, if you wait until they're 10, well, then maybe they won't have different, they might be, past maybe, one stage of their life. Whereas if they were 3, they would enjoy one stage, but when they're 15, they enjoy something else. And you see it grow, and that magic, like you said, it's still there. It's still there at Disney World, and we all have that, and that's so cool. I thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Noelle. Thanks for sharing all this with us today and all our listeners. So please, everyone, tune back in with us as we continue to bring you information about different destinations, especially Disney World, because we like to do that a lot, but just different places that your family may want to visit. So take the trip with us. Hear our stories about these destinations that we're exploring, learn tips and tricks like Noelle has told us today, and things that, that we've all found useful. Keep dreaming with us about that next destination, the next vacation, or the next adventure. Until next time, keep dreaming. Thank you. Bye.